Because this weekend out in Belfast, Tyson Fury, one of my favourite fighters, gets in against Marty Rogan, one of my favourite fighters, at the King's Hall. My favourite venue almost in the whole wide world, in front of about 9,000 people. And on the undercard, there's a young kid whose dad was my favourite fighter. This is like a love-in today. Nina's brought love into the studio, I'm telling you. Anyway, earlier on I spoke to Chris Eubank Jr. and I started by asking him about his injury that he got in his last fight.
That's right. I happened to injure my hand in sparring a few days before my last fight. You know, my whole right hand was swollen up and jarred, and but I still took the fight. I still thought that, you know, I'd be able to use my boxing skills to come away with the win, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy fight in the sense that that was, you know, that was a hard 6 rounds. You had to think, you know, he's not a bad kid, Jason Ball. But in all fairness, Chris, because you're in that spotlight, you're going to have to be fast-tracked in some ways.
You know, people ask me a lot of the time, you know, oh yeah, you're looking to fight for a title anytime soon, and you know, when do you think you're gonna be world champ or British champion or whatever? You know, for me, I'm not really looking to be fast-tracked, or I'm not looking ahead of myself. You know, I've only had 26 amateur fights, and you know, as you say, I've only had 2 pro fights, so I'm still fairly, you know, I'm still basically a novice in the sport, even though I've had a lot of experience training, you know, obviously in the States and other places. But you know, for me, I don't look past any opponent, any fights. I take each fight as they come, and we'll work our way up there in good time.
But it's fantastic to get a good 6 rounds, even with a bad hand, against a guy like Jason Ball, because that means if you have the easier knockovers or the guys that throw nothing back, you're still learning because you've been in some learning fights.
That's right. Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, 6 rounds with anybody, you know, is you're going to get a lot more experience out of it than just going in there and just knocking some guy out in 20 seconds, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's how I look at it. I look at it in a positive way. I learned a lot from the fight, and, you know, moving forward, onwards and upwards. And
what about Belfast? Because that's a real crowd over there, and you're going to be coming in, you know, either side of Tyson Fury against Rogan. It's going to be wild. It's going to be loud. Is that something that you relish, Chris? Because you're a fairly private kind of kid. But would you change once you sort of sense and feel that, you know, 9,000 or 8,000 people going crazy?
You know, the more high octane the atmosphere, the better for me. You know,
good.
You know, with the crowd, you know, getting into the fights. I know the Irish crowds are lively, and you know, they're very hardcore boxing fans out there, and they really get involved. And you know, for me, that's only something that would, you know, boost my morale and make me want to perform even better. You know, it wouldn't intimidate me. It would actually probably encourage me more than anything.
Good. Now you've been floating around different gyms. You know, you talked about when you started to box in America, but since you know, last year or so, 2 years or so, you've been, you know, I keep hearing reports you're in this gym, you're in that gym. You've done an awful lot of good sparring with. It seems like an awful lot of good fighters. Is that something that you absolutely believe in, Chris?
You know, for me, you know, sparring is the number one training that you can do in boxing. You know, you could cut everything else out and still make it in some way, shape, or form in the boxing scene. I believe if you just sparred, you know, running, hitting the bag, pad work, that's all secondary for me. Sparring these top guys and really, you know, learning from you know, how to deal with different boxers in different situations, different fight styles, southpaw, orthodox, strong guys, tall guys, short guys. You know, that's what I believe makes you a better fighter. So yeah, you know, I go around as many gyms as I can, and I spar as many fighters as I can, you know, just to get the experience. Yeah,
I know certainly that's all I keep hearing is how well you're looking, and have been hearing that for a couple of years. Are you handling the sort of the new limelight? I mean, you're fighting on Channel 5, you're getting good exposure, you're handling the limelight. Is it something, are you taking to that as easy as you take to walking out in front of 9,000 screaming Irishmen?
You know, it's something that comes with the territory. Obviously, you're fighting on terrestrial TV. You know, you don't have any choice but to force yourself to be comfortable, you know, in front of a lot of people, and you know, people start recognizing you in the street or whatever, you know. But it's something that, you know, I've kind of grown up with it, so it's not actually something that's you know, strange to me, in that I can't handle. I actually do enjoy it.
Listen, you look like you enjoy it when you're up in the ring. Listen, Chris, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate you giving us a bit of your time, and we'll speak to you soon. And good luck on Saturday out in Belfast. That was Chris Eubank speaking to me a little bit earlier on. I had to interview him earlier. He was off to the gym, or maybe off to Belfast. I've got Nina in